For over 1,000 years, Western civilization has been stuck in a dark age of sexual repression and misinformation. We get an oversexed overload from the media, but nothing in the way of honest, helpful, practical information on sex and how to do it right. That sucks, and I'm fucking sick of it. My name's JV Altheras, and I've spent a couple decades learning everything I can about how to have amazing sex and more of it. Not in a classroom like a lot of people who talk about sex. I learned it all in the gutter, right where Mom told me I'd end up. It's my mission to bring an end to the sexual dark age with brutally honest talk and education on all aspects of sex and sexuality, in an atmosphere that will keep you entertained without treating you like an idiot. Shara and I are not doctors. Certifiable, perhaps, but not certified in any way. And that means we don't have to talk about vaginas and penises to maintain academic credibility. You got a problem with a vagina? Call a gynecologist. You want to learn more about pussies and cocks and how to make them happy? You've come to the right place. Ending the Sexual Dark Age is now sponsored by the internet's most trusted name in adult toys. A happy pussy likes to play more often. AdamandEve.com is offering you guys half off on your choice of thousands upon thousands of vibrators and dildos and cock rings and strap-ons, nipple clamps, porn DVDs, butt plugs, pocket pussies, anything else you can imagine to either get yourself off or have some fun with your playmate. As always, we highly recommend making sex toys part of your sex life, and right now, AdamandEve.com is only asking for one chance to impress you. They're offering an awesome deal in support of ending the sexual dark age, and the whole thing goes a little like this. By typing Dark Age, all one word, for the offer code at checkout, you will get 50% off the most expensive item in your cart, with a few exceptions, free shipping, 3 free porn DVDs, and a sexy free mystery gift. Free DVDs are selected randomly and added to your order before they ship. AdamandEve.com is willing to damn near pay you to get off. So stop by, enter DARKAGE at checkout, and proceed to collect on an awesome deal. Or just follow one of the links on sexualdarkage.com. And if you like surfing on your smartphone, be sure to check out Adam and Eve's new mobile site. Yes, you too can buy dildos right from your iPhone now, thanks to Adam and Eve. I don't want to go on the cart. I'm not dead. See, I got a smile out of her already.
You always get a smile out of me.
I had to do the Monty Python reference for all my fellow nerds.
I caught that.
I'm so proud that you caught that. For the record, when she met me, she would have known a Monty Python reference from the hole in her ass. And she knew the hole in her ass pretty well.
I don't know if I go that far, but maybe you're right. I don't know.
So, hello everyone.
Hello.
It has been quite a damn long time. Life has been a very winding road, but we are finally back to the show. So we hope we haven't lost too many listeners, but I guess within a week or so of recording this or of releasing this episode, we will find out. Thank you all for your well wishes. We have stayed in contact with a lot of people via Facebook, but kind of fell off the earth in a lot of other places as well. Mostly our business, which is a small manufacturing company and has been struggling since the economic collapse, went absolutely apeshit. And
crazy.
Yeah, me and one other guy who's been somebody who's been with us since we opened the doors, ended up doing all the work, and I've probably had like 25 days off in the last year and a half.
Has it even been that many?
It may not have been. So,
I don't know. It's been...
Long story short, been busy as fuck, and unfortunately something had to give, and even though we enjoy doing this, when you're working 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, 6 or 7 days a week, you end up spending your day off sleeping.
And that you did. With a couple blowjobs in between, but...
Oh, yeah, well, lots of blowjobs in between, but...
It's been crazy.
I think everyone in the audience knows my position. If I have to choose between podcasting and blowjobs...
It's going to be blowjobs.
Yeah, I do. I have to be that selfish. So, we are resurrecting the show. We've got some fun news to talk about today. Quite a few cool things, actually. One thing that I bet most of the audience will be quite happy about is we've taken a lot of feedback on the bell over the years. And one thing that has been kind of a consensus is that a lot of people like the intention behind the bell, but the noise itself was very shrill and very annoying. And I kind of took that to heart. And the fine folks over at Fisher-Price have helped me take care of this. And this even gets to be a legit ding because she's blushing right now because I'm talking about it. But so gone is the hotel desk bell. And in is the Fisher-Price xylophone. Now, I'm tempted to say something silly, like this may be the kinkiest thing that's ever been done with a Fisher-Price product, but
who knows?
I know all you fuckers out there in the audience just a little bit too well to really be able to say that with a straight face.
But that does bring up something interesting. Would like to hear from the audience on, the crazy toys
we may
that
be the only show on the internet that would actually ask them what kind of perverted shit they've done with children's toys. But yes, we will ask. So if you have done perverted shit with children's toys, you know
Share.
the drill. Email, post on the website, message us on Facebook, whatever. And if we get a few interesting stories, we'll feature them in an upcoming episode. So, welcome to the xylophone. And now I get to choose different notes for different things. So that we'll just let that develop kind of as it naturally will.
Gee, how lucky am I?
And don't you feel fortunate?
Oh, so fortunate.
You should see the look on her face, everybody. She feels so fortunate right now.
I know that they can feel it through the microphone. They can just feel it.
Yeah, so one bit of interesting news, and this is kind of what kicked us in the ass to really get back to releasing episodes. We have a huge backlog of questions from listeners, and we're going to make a good faith effort to try and get through those questions while still paying some attention to new stuff that, the new questions that might be asked, especially stuff that might be timely, or stuff that is time intensive. It has been really nice. I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
I was just going to say, I think it's going to be easier now because we've added more staff and we're able to add staff, which is a good thing.
At the shop, not at the podcast,
Yes.
Obviously. I mean, we may be adding staff here at the podcast, but that'll be a completely separate situation.
You just never know. So, but I think that adding the staff is going to obviously give you some time off that you are in need of and will allow us to get back to some more fun things that we just haven't really had the time for.
We have missed this. And
yes.
Very many thanks, again, I'll repeat myself, to everybody we've stayed in touch with on Facebook. We have gotten all the emails that we have, that people have sent, with questions. We are, as I say, going to try to get back around to those. But we have received, just in the interim, a tremendous amount of positive feedback. The show is still getting lots of downloads. We are almost at 1 million downloads, and believe me, I will be making a very happy, proud post when we actually roll over to 1 million downloads. But even in our absence, the show, it seems, has more or less continued to thrive. So it'll be very interesting to see. Hopefully, we've still got a lot of the audience out there.
Well, I've received a lot of emails myself from people saying they found us, came across ours, and they're almost caught up on episodes and, hoping that there'll be future downloads, more podcast episodes. So I think that, it's a very positive thing. And so I'm glad that we're making a difference out there.
Yes. Always happy to be improving people's sex lives. And of course, there are some haters, but there are far more lovers than haters, which is what we've come to expect from our audience. You should see the look on her face. She's like, dismissing the hand. Fuck the haters.
Well, I'm not one to say that, but, I don't really think that we have haters out there. I think that you have the people who, are very negative about sex, and that's their problem, not ours. And it doesn't mean that they hate us. They just hate podcasts or talk shows or anything like that that relate to sex because they are either uncomfortable with it, they have their own hangups with it, and that's why we're here, is to hopefully for some of those we can reach and make a difference and have fun.
Yeah, so coming up in January, we decided, we have not had a vacation in a very long time. We actually haven't had a proper vacation since before the economy crashed because things have been so tight and we were trying to keep our company alive. But we have scheduled a trip to Vegas, and we have decided that we are going to Vegas for the AVN Expo because I don't think there's a way we can avoid getting into trouble going to Vegas for the AVN Expo. So we will be there with portable digital audio recorders, seeing if we can knock down some interviews and what kind of fun we can have. And we're going to see how much fun we can set up beforehand. At the very least, we will be planning some sort of a meet and greet. If we get any interest from the audience. Well, we've already gotten some interest from a couple people that we have been talking to. But we will be starting a private event on Facebook to see what kind of interest we have so we can determine, what kind of venue might be appropriate. If it's just a few people, just about anywhere will do. If it ends up being more than a few people, we'll plan appropriately. But get a hold of us, email us, get a hold of us on Facebook so we can add you to the listing for the event. And I'm sure that will be some kind of fun one way or the other.
I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I need a vacation.
Yeah. I haven't been at a blackjack table in 5-6 years.
At least.
That's sad.
At least.
No, it was in 2008. It's been 5 years since I've been at a blackjack table.
So time to get it going.
Yeah, and I don't do the Indian casino gambling stuff because that's all a little bit too close. Like, I'm not a compulsive gambler or anything, but if I mentally keep all my gambling in Vegas, I just don't even think about doing it when I'm anywhere around home. So one thing we do want to get to on this episode, we're not going to be answering any listener questions. There will be more episodes coming very soon where we get into that. We just kind of wanted to stop in and wave and say hello to everyone and again say that we are not dead. And I am excited. Not ready to go on the cart.
We're excited just to get back out there again.
Yeah, so one piece of old business was we've gotten a few comments, not a whole bunch, but a few comments from women who, in regards to the blowjobs episode, were hoping for more detailed advice on how to deep throat. And looking back, we did kind of gloss over that, and it's a very simple reason. It comes so naturally to you that, we never really explored tips and tricks and advice when we really should have. So... Well, because we're back, and we might as well talk about blowjobs on our first show back.
Absolutely. Well, a couple things. Number one is I think positioning for everyone is different. So you might have to try a couple different positions as to what you feel more comfortable with. As you and I know that sometimes my favorite way is like sitting next to you and leaning over.
Yeah, and we should probably describe that in detail. Shara's favorite position for sucking cock is for me to be basically reclined on the couch, and then she is on my right-hand side with her left arm kind of reaching over my lap and resting on the couch, and that gives her a good angle and a friendly angle to get my cock all the way down her throat.
Right, and for some people, it's also a matter of starting off, you kind of have that gag reflex for some people. So taking a little bit at a time and going deeper and deeper and deeper as you go along. So you may not accomplish a deep throat the first, second, might take you 10, 15 times. And that part shouldn't matter. Have fun with it, because I think if you're not having fun with it, it becomes a job. And
Well, yeah, and blowjobs should never be a job. And as we've said many times, from a guy's perspective, hey, if you're working at it, you get all the points in the world. Take your time.
So have fun with it, and that's the most important. And if you need time or say, okay, babe, this is as far as I can go today, he's not going to care, the licking and all of that, because that makes a difference too. Having some licking going on, and then sometimes you pull my hair. Well, a lot of times now you pull my hair.
Well, that's good. Oh, that's the other thing we wanted to talk about on our first show back, but please continue.
So the pulling of the hair, and I enjoy that. And so when you're pulling my hair, my head's moving back and forth, and so that gives me some movement as well. So I think that a lot of it has to do with what you're comfortable with, but to, one, not be afraid to do it, two, to make sure that the person that you're doing it on is going to be the less aggressive person when it comes to that, because it has to be what you're comfortable with.
Well, and it's communication is the center. It's at the center of good sex as always. So
absolutely.
If you are fucking a guy and you want to practice deep throating or getting better at it, simply saying so and saying, hey, I just want you to be a stunt cock for me to practice on a little bit. Don't try to push me in any given direction. That's probably going to get you the kind of practice time that you need. So it's low expectations, and he can stick it somewhere else if you want when you're done practicing.
Exactly. And I don't think you're going to get anybody to say, oh, no, thanks. I'm not the stunt cock for you, because
yes, while it is possible, it is. If it's someone you're already fucking, it's not terribly likely.
And I think it's highly unlikely, to be honest. But the men I've met out there, I think they're just like, yeah, go ahead.
All right, so you are suggesting, let's kind of try to recap so we can keep the suggestions organized. Obviously, taking your time and not being in a rush about it. You know, as we know, being stressed out or in a stressed out frame of mind tends to tense all your muscles. It tends to bunch you up. And if you're trying to relax your throat, you know, your throat is surrounded by muscles. So being all stressed out and tensed up is not going to help that situation.
And another thing that you know about me is I'm just a little OCD. So when I'm on my knees in between your legs and I'm sucking on your cock and the leftover drool starts dripping down my arm, that drives me crazy. So I'll have a towel handy so I can just wipe it on there.
Totally. Yeah, furniture condoms.
You know, yep. So I have that. And being comfortable on your knees. If you're a person who says, oh, I have to do it on my knees, but my knees get sore, put a pillow underneath your knees and occasionally tilt yourself a little to your right and then a little to your left so you're moving your knees back and forth a little bit. You can do that without him even knowing that you're doing that, so that your knees are not directly on the carpet or the floor or whatever, so that they're, you know, kind of a little bit more on the side of the right knee and on the side of the left knee.
Yeah, and you know, that's also worth saying. That brings up another point. Make sure that if you're going to try and practice pushing your comfort zone, make sure you're comfortable in as many ways as possible. You know, if you're down on your knees, you know, and you're on a rug or something, don't be afraid to grab, you know, even a couple layers of blanket.
Right.
Can be a little bit of cushion, but get a pillow to kneel on, you know, whatever. You're not likely to get any pushback. You know, it's certainly not likely to ruin a blowjob if you want to put your knees on something.
In the bed, I love having my knees by your head, and then my throat is going down because the way that your cock points, you know, towards me is kind of the shape of a banana.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of like the natural 69 position.
Right.
You know, the 69 position is probably one of the most friendly for deep throating simply because the natural angle of the cock is kind of matching the natural angle of the throat.
Right.
You know, the feedback that I have gotten over the years about that position is that being in the 69 position and actually licking pussy while a woman's sucking my cock can be very distracting for her.
Yes.
So, you know, you may just need to enjoy the view there for a few minutes, you know, and not be a distraction.
But that's where the sofa position comes in, because it's very similar to laying down on the bed, only you're in a sitting position where he's not able to lick your pussy because you're sitting next to him. So there's no distraction there. There's just you and him, and you're the one that's sucking on his cock. So there's less distraction of him. You know, he might take his hand and want to play with your pussy a little bit or whatever, and that's not so distracting. But when you're trying to concentrate and have fun and your head's in one place and all of a sudden somebody's licking on your pussy, it until you're used to it, it can become a distraction. So I find that the seating position on the sofa is one that's very comfortable for me, and it's a turn on actually, because I feel everything inside of me moving, you know, kind of like everything's just getting all excited inside of me. It's kind of an awesome feeling.
We like it when everything gets all exciting inside of you.
I like it that way. Just saying. Okay.
D, does D sound like a blush note? Wait, well, you know, the obvious choice. The B for blush. So, yeah, we're going to go with a B for the blush tone.
It's going to make me blush. Okay.
That's good. That's very Pavlovian.
Next topic.
To stay on topic, one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, it seems to me, check me if I'm wrong on this, you start to hit the kind of natural gag reflex point when my cock is about 2/3 of the way in your mouth. Is that about right?
Yes.
So what is it? You know, what is the difference between 2/3 and all the way for you? Now I've heard women say that, you know, getting past the gag reflex, actually making the swallowing motion with their throat can help kind of get the head of the cock past the gag reflex point. Is that something that you would lay any credence to?
No, I agree. It does. And the other thing for me is, obviously when you gag, you start getting, you know, fluid in your mouth.
Yeah, and you start coughing out. That's part of the gagging, is the coughing outward.
Well, mine's not so bad with that, but the gagging does help, because when you have basically the saliva in your mouth, it makes it easier to go further.
Okay.
So you might have the original gag reflex, but then once you your mouth becomes more moist and from the saliva.
Okay,
and
so you're saying keep some of the saliva that would normally drool out, make an effort to keep it in your mouth.
I do.
Okay.
Because it makes it easier for me.
Wow, we still end up with that much on the furniture condom? That's pretty impressive.
What can I say?
Yes. I love my xylophone. Fisher-Price, I'm so proud of you guys.
Oh, Fisher-Price would be so happy to know how it's being used.
Well, I got this for like $15, and I almost bought an expensive one for like $125 or something.
Oh, no.
Because I tend to buy, whenever I'm buying gear for anything, I have a tendency to go buy the good shit. And I actually had to force myself to get the cheapie.
You scare me sometimes. You know that.
Only sometimes? You need to work on that. But I'm sorry. Please continue. So you keep the saliva in your mouth.
Yes.
You use this kind of a lubricant.
Right, because it makes it easier then for me to have less gag reflex the next time. So each time, and it just gets less and less, and to the point where I can go all the way down to the bottom of the base.
All right. So and one other thing, and I have noticed this. I haven't really mentioned this on the air before, but I quit smoking about almost 8 months ago.
Yay!
Yes, it sucks. It still sucks. Now I am noticing since I have quit smoking, you are told to expect certain changes. Your sense of smell is supposed to come back, and what I have noticed is my sinuses are tending to be very stuffy now. And I remember I smoked for 20 some years, so I am remembering now that when I was young, my sinuses were kind of the same way, and I think for whatever reason, being a consistent smoker, was keeping my sinuses cleared up. So a lot of people do have allergies, sinus problems, whatnot. Do you think it would be helpful to take something like a Dayquil? Because you are doing a whole lot of breathing through your nose. So I would imagine if you are someone with general sinus conditions or allergies, not being able to breathe through your mouth while you've got a big old dick down your throat would probably compound any issues you're having.
Well, not that I'm going to promote one product over another, but I love Allegra.
Okay.
You take it once in a 24-hour period. That's all. And if you still feel like you either have a headache or whatever, then you can take 2 Advil or Aleve, whatever. But Allegra for me really clears up my sinuses, and I know that because I have less headaches. So that's one. Dayquil I've never used Dayquil, so I don't know. But if you're going to use the daytime, so you're not tired and falling asleep.
Yeah, you don't want to. Well, I mean, I'm sure the guy wouldn't, let you choke to death on his cock or something if you fell. Well, hopefully it doesn't make you that tired. I mean, NyQuil is some pretty badass stuff.
I'm just saying you want to be alert and have fun with it, So the Allegra, is relaxing, but it doesn't make you tired or anything like that. So, either or. But yeah, I would definitely recommend that.
Okay. And is there anything else you would like to add on the topic of deep throating? Wow, you're just... You're just working out the xylophone, aren't you?
It's been a while since we've been, talking on the podcast. So I just, I'm the quiet type.
Uh-huh.
I am.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone in the audience would also concur that you are just the quiet type.
I really am. But this is fun for me because when you get responses from people and, hey, you've saved our marriage or you saved my relationship, or then I know how important it is to get this out there for people to feel comfortable. And it's not easy to talk to other people. It's not an easy thing to do. So I want, especially the young people of today, to, go into a relationship and have fun with it and have a fun relationship and a caring relationship and not feel all stressed out about sex, because there are a lot of people who are extremely stressed out about sex. And I know one guy who said, my wife would not give me a blowjob, which is why I left her. And that's kind of sad that had to happen, because overall, I'm sure there was more to it, but overall they seemed to always get along very well. So when I heard that, it was like, wow.
Well, that's very much a sexual dark age mentality. It's a pretty basic, fundamental sex act, and there are plenty of people who just absolutely refuse to do it, much as there are plenty of guys who just refuse to lick pussy, and I say the same thing to them. What the fuck are you thinking? you're going to lose whoever's pussy you ought to be licking. You're going to lose them to somebody who does go down, and well, not necessarily, but certainly lack of fulfillment, and it doesn't do great for anybody's self-esteem issues when somebody refuses to go down on them flat out.
And some people are just uncomfortable. Some people are shy, and they're not comfortable, whether it's the guy or the girl. They're shy. They're not sure how to approach the person. So that's why I love doing this. I love being out there and being an open door for people to have,
I'll show you an open door.
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah.
So, something that we have talked back and forth about about me wanting to include in our first episode back, that perhaps Shara would have allowed me to skip or would not have reminded me about.
The eye roll that you just did as you were talking about it, yes, that tells you everything you need to know.
During the long, dark hiatus, that Shara likes to be choked while she's getting fucked. Oh, look at that! Wait, that calls for a... No, wait. I'll find it. I need a 3-note tone for the big blushes.
You'll work on it, I'm sure. Yes.
And happy to have feedback on the new xylophone, by the way. I'm expecting probably positive feedback, other than the people who hated the bell in the first place, but there weren't that many of them. But yes, so we're going to talk just a little bit about erotic asphyxiation. Now, I should say that I do not plan to talk about autoerotic asphyxiation, which is obviously related. That there are high risk behaviors, and then there are high risk behaviors. An extremely large percentage of these sex-related deaths that you see in the media are a direct result of autoerotic asphyxiation. And it's one of those things, we talk about edge play, and there are certain edge play types of things that we certainly discuss and give advice about. I have never engaged in it. I'm pretty sure you have never engaged in it.
No, I haven't.
So I don't know that we would be particularly appropriate people to talk about it anyway. But also, I would feel an ethical conundrum. Because I would not, it's not the kind of thing I want to give somebody instructions on, even if I was good at it. And I think there's so many ways to have a great orgasm. And there are so many different ways to give yourself one. I don't think that we need to promote going there. Would you concur with that?
I concur.
Okay, so now back to you enjoying being choked while you're getting fucked. I want to talk about that a little bit, because there are certainly safety factors involved. If you are fucking and you are fucked up, you are inebriated by, any one of a number of substances that may or may not be legal, you always want to be especially careful with edge play. Now, what I just did this on a whim with Shara, and that's part of the magic of having a slut who never says no. I get to every once in a while, it'll just occur to me to try something. So, I had you doggy style, and I was fucking you, and I was looking at your collar, because your hair was up in a ponytail, so I was looking at your collar going, you know what, I ought to just grab on that fucking thing and give it a yank. And I did. And you came like fucking Niagara Falls.
What can I say?
It was
I'm
awesome.
guilty.
It was like, I felt like I just hit a jackpot on the slot machine, speaking of
I
things.
felt the same way, by the way. Just to be clear, I felt the same way.
Yeah, so now for the first part of this, I would like to discuss your reactions and your experiences, see if we can determine why you happen to enjoy it so much. So, a couple of the things that jump to my mind are, obviously, it is a feeling of being out of control if you can't breathe. Especially the way I have been doing it with you is mostly using the collar.
Right.
So it is using an instrument of control to further deprive you of control.
Right. And you don't do it where I have to be nervous about how far is it going to go. I know that when you reach a certain level that's where it's going to stop. You're not going to go beyond that part. And I get like, okay, now everyone's going to laugh out there, but this like warm, tingly, nummy feeling throughout my whole body, and it's a turn on for me. So I'm not really sure why. I really, but
we should probably do it more then and see if you figure it out.
Oh, darn. Okay. If we must.
Yeah. So I have, Shara is not the first person I've done breath play with. It's, our sex life is pretty healthy and pretty entertaining. So I'm not necessarily always looking for something new to do. However, it's always, even when you're with somebody for a very long time, it's always nice to throw something new in there.
I always think new is good.
Yeah. So the way I approached it is the way I have approached it in the past with other playmates. there are a few ways that are kind of obvious that breath play could go horribly wrong. Especially for some people or in some situations, you don't want to leave any marks. So you want to be careful about, you want to be careful about ligatures, which are anything that you wrap around somebody's neck that is a cord or, something that could leave marks. It really doesn't take that much force to leave red marks or leave some slight bruising, especially if you've got something thin. Mm-hmm. So I would recommend not using something that is thin. Shara's collar is about 1.25 inches wide. It's a soft leather collar that is very well broken in, about 1.25 inches wide. So it's not something that's going to be real likely to leave marks. So I have not left any marks on her. The second thing that is obvious to be concerned about is causing physical trauma. So you want to be very careful about how hard you squeeze and the way in which you're squeezing. So what I do, because it gives me an extreme amount of control when she's wearing her collar, is I will slip 2 fingers between her neck and the back of her, between the back of her neck and the back of the collar. And then I use my thumb to put pressure on her neck, and it allows me to pull the collar back and tighten it with very, very fine-tuned force. And it is difficult. It would be difficult because I'm just using my fingers to go too far. So that's kind of a built-in safety feature that I think is especially effective if you're just starting to play around with it. Now, also, if you are someone who doesn't have a collar laying around, because plenty of our listeners do not, obviously your hands are the choice. Now, you can use things other than hands, like a silk scarf, something like that. But again, extreme caution with how much pressure you're putting on your playmate's neck, and also how long you're applying the pressure. So there are certain, I'm sorry, go ahead, you were saying something?
I was just going to say, make sure that you have, because you're doing some breath play, you have your safety words, of course, that when you're playing like that, but also my hands are always free when we're doing this.
Yes. So when we're doing this, your hands are always free.
Right. So I can always put my left hand up. That's our signal, is to put my left hand up, and that lets him know to release a little bit. Sometimes I'm like laying across him, and so I can touch him with my left hand. So basically my left hand lets him know that I'm in a situation that, release or loosen up or whatever. So, and it's always been fine. I've never had any issues.
This is one of those things. It counts. It is definitely edge play. It's like needles or knives or anything else that is potentially physically hazardous in the wrong hands, or if not approached with the proper care. Start very, very slow. And the best place where you can exercise caution and good judgment is in how long you're applying pressure. So what I prefer to do in almost all cases, regardless, because it keeps me comfortable, it keeps me in a good headspace because I worry less, is to only apply pressure for a few seconds at a time. So, you're not going to suffocate someone in 4 or 5 seconds. However, it has been reported to me that when you have your ability to breathe cut off, it only takes a few seconds for the erotic aspect of it to really come on strong. Is that something that you would agree with?
I definitely agree. Like I said, all of a sudden I become tingly and numb, and it's not from, the fact that I'm afraid I'm going to pass out or anything like that. It's the excitement of it, but it's also, you do it just perfectly for me, to the point that it just gets me that excitement in the feelings inside are awesome for me. But in the beginning, when I would have to raise my hand or touch your leg or whatever, you immediately released, and then we'd go back to it till we found the comfortable area. But for me, it's been an awesome experience. I love it. And I think that if everyone, like I said, make sure, even though you have a safety word, because of the fact that it's, the type of edge play that you might not be able to breathe very well, you got to have that hand free to be able to put the hand up. Whatever signal, you should work that out ahead of time so that it's clear to whoever you're playing with that this is my signal and this is what we're going to use.
Yeah, so it can be very hot, but if you are going to experiment with it, making sure you are either using hands and light amounts of pressure. It's not a terrible idea if nobody has to go to work the next day, the first couple times you play with it, just in case. But if you're only going for a few seconds at a time and you're not using very much force, you are very unlikely to cause any problems. And I would recommend, if you are a first timer with this, I recommend face-to-face because you will be able to see a problem in your playmate's eyes before they can signal with a hand or do anything else or say anything or whatever. So it's face-to-face is a good idea. Exercise due caution. But it's just one more thing to turn this slut into the waterworks over here.
Can't help it. What can I say? I knew that was coming.
Can't help it. You'd have to try to help it. So is there anything else you'd like to say about how much you enjoy being choked while you're getting fucked?
I do enjoy it. And
go. Please continue.
I was just going to say, I do enjoy it, and I don't, regret 1 minute of learning all about it.
Yeah, and in Shara's case, she especially likes it while she's sucking cock.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. It's a major turn-on for me.
And it is not, it's probably worth mentioning that, the forced deep throats that you enjoy, we kind of do along the same lines, and when I say forced deep throat, I mean, she loves it and we both know she loves it. So this is not like something that I would do to her whether she liked it or not,
Oh, no.
But when she is, especially when she's deep throating me on her own, I will put my hand on the back of her neck or grab her hair or, take hold of her collar and hold her down for just a couple of seconds. And she starts coming like fucking machine gun.
I do. Just even talking about it here, could be a problem for us because I don't have any.
Let's do a drippy check.
I know you don't have any panties.
Ooh, slippery business. Look at that. Oh. Yeah, we're going to have to take care of that as soon as we're done recording here.
Probably a very good idea. I think we should wrap it up, don't you?
Yeah, we probably should wrap it up.
Because you have something you want to do to me, right?
I do. I have a few things I want to do to you. So, we are back.
And thank you, everybody, for all the messages. And there are some that I got back to right away. The other ones that required some of JV's attention, obviously I had to pull those aside so that I could get his responses and get him to get back or tell me what to respond to, how to respond. Because some of it was a mutual, it was for both of us to answer. So thank you so much for all of the great words and the friendly notes, and we appreciate it. And I'm glad that our business is doing so well that we're able to.
And it's worth saying that we did have conversations, after something is on hiatus for a certain point, you have a conversation as to whether or not you want to pick it back up again. And we did have that conversation. And all the emails and the Facebook comments and everything else that we got from you guys really are what put it over the top. I mean, even more than the podcast stats and the fact that it's still been getting very strong downloads even in our absence.
It's been unbelievable. And I haven't even really been on Facebook as I often would be. I'd be on there every day and posting photos and all that. And because the business was so busy, I haven't even had a chance to really do that. So I would receive private messages as well as general messages on Facebook. Hey, miss you guys. And thank you so much, because that means a lot to both of us that, you're thinking of us, and it's not just a voice over the podcast. We have great friendships out there that we have formed with some great people. So if you are going to be in Vegas, did you give the dates?
I don't think I did at the beginning because I was planning on talking about it a little more as we wrapped up. So we will be in Vegas for the AVN Expo from January 16th to January 20th.
And if
we will be looking for trouble, and there will very likely, as long as there is interest, there will be some sort of a meet and greet, and I will be unveiling one of my sexy Shara tricks at the meet and greet.
Oh, great.
Yes, this is something that it's kind of visual, so it never made any sense to try and talk about it on the show. Oh, man, look at that. You look at Rosie over here. She knows what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
So we will be unveiling that in person to the audience. And it's, it's nothing huge. It's something we can certainly do in public, but it's something that will raise eyebrows in public, even in Vegas.
Definitely. Yes, even in Vegas. But if you know you're going to be there, send us a message or Facebook us, and, so that we are going to, like JV said, set up some Facebook when it gets a little bit closer. But you know what? If you haven't been away on a vacation for a while and you're looking to go out and have some fun, and it's not too expensive to get there, January 16th through the 21st, and hope to see you there, and let us know.
Yeah, so to the many of you who have posted comments on the website while we have been incommunicado, those are all still there, and most of them are going up today. And we will try to get some responses and try to get things going again, basically. Mm-hmm. And So look forward to seeing whoever we're going to see in Vegas. And as always, Shara and I can be reached at jvaltheras@gmail.com, jvshara@gmail.com, although someone has not been checking her Shara email very frequently.
I'll get better at that, I promise.
And we do apologize to those of you who have not received responses in the interim, and we will try to get to as many of those as possible. Those of you who submitted questions, feel free to submit them again. We will be going back through and finding as many as we can, but please feel free to submit them again, especially if it's something that you're still having a current issue with.
Yes, and if you do that, and you are on Facebook, the fastest way for me is the Facebook page, because I'm on it. I am on it every day, even if I'm not posting something every single day. I do go on just to see. So the Facebook is the best place to reach me at this time. So feel free to send us the message again, and I will get it right away and put it in order as they come in.
All right. Well, I think that just about wraps it up.
Well, thank you. It was good doing this again.
Yeah, it was just fun.
Yeah, it was.
And I miss fucking you after recording podcasts too. So that's one more thing I'm not going to have to miss anymore.
I know. So let's get to it.
All right, everybody. It's been a blast. It's nice to be back. This be me, JV Altheras, reminding you that sex is one of the greatest things in life, and there is always room for better.
Always.